Las Vegas has a math problem, a simple, brutal, existential math problem. The buildings keep standing. Drive down Las Vegas Boulevard, and they're all still there. The massive towers, the elaborate facades, the architectural fever dreams rising out of the desert floor. The lights keep flashing. 3 million bulbs, or whatever the number is, blazing through the night, visible from space, promising something spectacular. The fountains keep dancing. The slot machines keep chiming. The gondoliers keep singing. The entire infrastructure of entertainment, every room, every restaurant, every show, every square foot of casino floor still exists. Built for 43 million visitors per year. Built for a flood of tourists that was supposed to never stop. But the tourists aren't showing up. Not in the numbers Vegas needs. Not with the money Vegas depends on. Not with the frequency that keeps the machine running. The Strip was built for a flood. What it's getting is a trickle. And the gap between what Vegas needs and what Vegas is getting grows wider every quarter, every month, every week that passes without the visitors who used to fill these buildings. Vegas is running out of tourists, and the shortage is about to break the entire model. Today, I'm showing you the tourist crisis. Not a temporary dip, not a soft quarter, not a cycle that reverses when the economy improves or the marketing gets better or some new attraction opens. A structural collapse of the tourist pipeline that fed the Strip for decades. The forces demographic, economic, competitive that are draining Las Vegas of the people it needs to survive. Where the visitors went, the alternatives that captured them, the choices they made that took them somewhere other than the Strip. Why they're not coming back, the prices that pushed them away, the experiences that disappointed them, the habits they never developed because Vegas closed the door before they could walk through. And what happens when a city built for 43 million visitors has to survive on 30 million, or 25, or whatever number actually shows up when the bleeding stops? The visitors who built Vegas, the empty rooms they left behind, the math that's about to crush everything. If you're new here, I track the forces killing the Strip. Not the surface metrics that executives put in press releases, the underlying collapse, the demographic shifts that determine whether Vegas has a future. The competitive pressures that are stealing visitors one by one by one. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications. Because the tourist shortage explains everything. The price wars properties fighting for a shrinking pool of guests, the closures, restaurants, and shows and amenities that can't survive on the traffic that exists. The layoff staff cut because the visitors who justified their jobs aren't coming. Walk through any casino on a Tuesday night, feel the emptiness. Count the empty seats at the blackjack tables. Watch the slot machines blink at nobody. That's the tourist shortage made visible. And it's getting worse. Let me show you the numbers. The actual visitor counts. The trends that Vegas doesn't want you to see. Because the headline numbers look fine. The press releases celebrate. The marketing declares Vegas is back, baby, better than ever. The recovery is complete. But the headline numbers are a magic trick, a misdirection, a way of hiding what's actually happening. Once you understand how many tourists Vegas is really losing and, more importantly, who those tourists are, you'll understand why every property on the Strip is quietly panicking, why the price wars are desperate, why the cuts keep coming. The numbers don't lie, but you have to know which numbers to look at. Vegas visitor numbers look stable on the surface, somewhere around 40 million per year, give or take. Close enough to the pre-pandemic peaks that executives can claim victory. Close enough to normal that the story seems okay. But look closer. Look at who's actually coming through the doors. The overnight visitors, the tourists who stay in hotels, who book multiple nights, who gamble for days, who eat at restaurants and see shows and spend real money across the property. That number is declining, replaced by something else. Day trippers, people who drive in from LA or Phoenix or San Diego, park somewhere, walk the Strip, take a photo in front of the Bellagio fountains, maybe eat one meal at a casino restaurant, maybe put 20 bucks in a slot machine and then drive home. They count in the statistics, they show up in the 40 million, but they don't book rooms. They don't generate the revenue that pays for these massive buildings. They're visitors who don't visit in any meaningful way. Convention attendees, captured audiences who have to be here because their industry holds conferences here. They didn't choose Vegas, their company chose Vegas. They're assigned, not loyal, here for meetings, not for the experience. And when economic conditions tighten, convention travel is the first budget to get cut. And the high-value gamblers, the whales and near whales who used to generate disproportionate revenue, who made the economics of luxury properties actually work, they're increasingly going elsewhere. Tribal casinos closer to their homes, international destinations that offer what Vegas used to offer, Macau, Singapore, anywhere that rolls out the red carpet instead of extracting every possible dollar. The headline number says 40 million. The useful number, the number that actually pays bills, that fills rooms, that keeps casinos operational, is shrinking, has been shrinking, keeps shrinking. The total count masks the crisis. Vegas is getting visitors, but the wrong visitors. Day trippers who don't stay, convention captives who don't choose Vegas, who don't love Vegas, who won't come back unless their company sends them. Budget tourists who spend less every year, who count every dollar, who don't generate the revenue that built this city. The premium customers who actually built Las Vegas, the ones who funded the expansions, who justified the elaborate properties, who made the economics work, they're disappearing. Not all at once, not in a dramatic exodus, gradually, steadily. Year after year, a smaller percentage of visitors are the visitors Vegas actually needs. Walk through Bellagio at noon on a Wednesday. Count the gamblers at the high-limit tables. Notice how many seats are empty. Notice how many tables aren't even open. Walk through Caesar's Palace on a Tuesday evening. Count the people in the restaurants. See how many have gates pulled down, closed, waiting for traffic that doesn't come. The infrastructure built for premium tourists, the massive hotels, the expensive restaurants, the elaborate shows it can't survive on day trippers and convention overflow. The math doesn't work. The economics collapse. The gap between what Vegas needs and what Vegas is getting widens every quarter. The buildings stay the same size. The visitor quality keeps declining. And Vegas is running out of the tourists that matter. The ones who spend, the ones who stay, the ones who make the machine actually run. The trickle isn't enough, and the flood isn't coming back. The tourists didn't vanish into thin air. They didn't stop existing. They didn't decide to stay home and stare at walls. They went somewhere, made choices, found alternatives, discovered that the thing they used to fly to Vegas for the gambling, the party, the escape existed closer to home, or on their phones, or in cities that wanted their business more. Understanding where they went explains why they're not coming back. The competition that's draining Vegas dry. The alternatives that didn't exist 20 years ago, but now capture millions of visitors who used to flow to the Strip. Let me show you where the tourists went. Tribal casinos captured the gamblers. That's the biggest loss, the most devastating drain, the hole in the pipeline that can never be plugged. Every major metropolitan area in America now has casino gambling within driving distance. Think about that, every single one. The gambler in Phoenix doesn't need to fly to Vegas anymore. There are casinos in the desert an hour from their house. The gambler in LA has options in Palm Springs, in San Diego County, 45 minutes in any direction. The gambler in the Bay Area can drive to Thunder Valley or Cache Creek. Seattle has tribal casinos. Denver has Black Hawk and Central City. Dallas, Houston, every city that used to export gamblers to Vegas now has local options. And those tribal casinos offer what Vegas used to offer. Table games with reasonable minimums, $15 blackjack instead of $50. Comps that actually mean something. Free rooms, free meals, treatment that makes you feel valued. Staff who remember your name after 3 visits. The old school hospitality that Vegas threw away in the name of extraction. The tribal casinos are closer, cheaper, more welcoming, no flights, no hotel reservations, no 3-day commitment required. Just drive 45 minutes, gamble for a few hours, drive home. The casual gambler, the backbone of Vegas's visitor base for decades, now satisfies that itch without ever leaving their region. Vegas used to have a monopoly on legal casino gambling in the American West. The only place you could play blackjack or pull a slot machine for 1,000 miles. That monopoly is shattered, permanently, irreversibly. Every tribal casino is a leak in the pipeline, and the leaks keep multiplying every year as more tribes build more casinos closer to more population centers. But gambling isn't the only thing Vegas used to monopolize. The party, the nightlife, the sense that this was the only place in America where certain experiences existed. Where you could dance until 4 a.m. and stumble into a casino and the sun would come up and the party would still be going. Vegas owned that, had a monopoly on excess, the place you went when you wanted to let go completely. That monopoly is broken too, and the tourists who came for the party, they're finding better parties somewhere else. Miami took the party crowd. The same tourists who used to fly to Vegas for a birthday weekend now fly to South Beach instead. The clubs are newer. The scene feels more current, not stuck in 2012 like the Vegas mega clubs. The weather means pool parties year-round, not just desert summers. The vibe isn't corporate Vegas, isn't manufactured fun, isn't the same DJ playing the same drops in the same room for the 1000th time. It feels more alive, more now, more like something is actually happening rather than something that happened 10 years ago and just keeps repeating. Miami took the nightlife tourists, but they're not the only city that figured out the formula. Austin took the bachelor parties. Live music everywhere, local character, the sense that you're discovering something rather than visiting a theme park. Nashville took even more bachelor parties. Bachelorette parties too, the energy of a city that actually wants you there, that treats visitors like guests instead of revenue units. Even internationally, Dubai pulls the luxury crowd, Tulum pulls the bohemian crowd, Ibiza still owns the electronic scene. Vegas used to be the only answer to where should we go for a big weekend. Now it's one option among many, and for younger tourists especially, it might not even make the list. And then there's the biggest drain of all, the one that scares Vegas executives more than any competitor city, more than any tribal casino. The tourists who don't go anywhere, who found entertainment at home that's good enough, who stopped traveling for experiences they can approximate from their couch. Sports betting on phones, the fastest growing segment of gambling, and it requires no trip to Vegas whatsoever. Place your bets from your living room, watch the game, cash out or lose. Never leave the house. Vegas used to be the sports betting capital of America, the only place you could legally bet on games. That monopoly lasted until 2018. Now sports betting is legal in most states. The sports books that used to be a Vegas pilgrimage are now apps on everyone's phone. Online poker, online slots, the gambling itch scratched without packing a bag, without booking a flight, without any of the friction that used to force people to actually go to Vegas. And underneath all of this, the most troubling drain of all, a generation that never developed the Vegas habit. That came of age with smartphones and streaming and infinite entertainment options. That doesn't dream of Vegas the way their parents did. They drink less than any generation in decades. They go out less. They socialize differently online, in smaller groups, without the big weekend energy that Vegas depends on. The Vegas trip that millennials invented, fly in Friday, party until sunrise, recover by the pool, do it again Saturday, stumble home Sunday, that template doesn't appeal the same way to younger travelers. It sounds exhausting, it sounds expensive, it sounds like their parents' idea of fun. The pipeline of future tourists that Vegas used to take for granted, young people discovering the city, falling in love with it, becoming regulars for decades, that pipeline is drying up. The next generation isn't developing the habit, and habits not developed are habits that never exist. Tribal casinos took the gamblers, Miami took the party crowd, Nashville and Austin took the bachelor parties, Dubai and Tulum took the luxury travelers, phone apps took the sports bettors, screens took a generation that might never develop the Vegas habit at all. Every direction Vegas looks, the tourists are going somewhere else, being captured by alternatives that didn't exist 20 years ago, choosing options that feel better or cost less or require less effort. The pipeline that fed 43 million visitors to the Strip, it's leaking from every joint, draining from every connection, hemorrhaging visitors to competitors that multiply every year. And Vegas can't plug the holes, because the holes are everywhere. In every city with a tribal casino, in every phone with a sports betting app, in every young person who's never dreamed of the Strip and probably never will. The tourists aren't coming back because the tourists found something else, found many something elses, found alternatives that didn't require them to choose Vegas. And the something elses keep multiplying, keep improving, keep capturing the visitors who used to belong to the Strip. The flood that built Vegas isn't returning. The competition won't allow it. The world changed. And Vegas is discovering that you can't compete when the competition is everywhere. The tourists went somewhere else. Tribal casinos, Miami, their phones, cities that wanted them more, a couch that was good enough. But here's the harder truth. The truth Vegas doesn't want to face. Vegas helped push them away. The Strip didn't just lose tourists to competition, it actively drove them out, made choices that told entire segments of visitors their business wasn't welcome anymore. And now Vegas needs them back, desperately. The buildings need bodies, the machines need players, the math needs tourists. And they're not coming. Vegas priced out the middle class. We've covered this in other videos, but it bears repeating because it's the original sin, the decision that broke the pipeline. The family that used to visit twice a year. Mom and dad and 2 kids driving in from California, spending a long weekend on the Strip. Affordable rooms, cheap buffets, a few $100 at the tables, maybe catch a show. That family is gone, priced out, can't afford it anymore. The rooms that used to be $49 are now $400. The buffets that used to be $15 are now $65. The resort fees didn't exist and now they're $50 a night. Parking was free and now it's $25. Vegas told that family their business wasn't valuable enough. Told them the room they used to book was worth 8 times more now. Told them the buffet they used to love was for premium customers only. And they listened. They found vacations they could actually afford. Drove to San Diego instead. Took the kids to Disneyland. Went camping. Did anything other than spend $1,000 for a weekend that used to cost $200? The middle class isn't coming back unless prices drop. And prices aren't dropping, at least not yet. Not enough. But the middle class isn't the only segment Vegas pushed away. The young couple discovering Vegas for the first time, the retiree who used to come monthly, the casual gambler who just wanted a fun weekend. All of them got the same message. Vegas doesn't want your business anymore. Vegas wants richer tourists. Vegas wants whales. And all of them made the same choice. Fine, we'll go somewhere else. The pipeline isn't just leaking to competitors. Vegas is actively cutting the pipe. Think about how people used to fall in love with Vegas. The young couple in their 20s, first trip together, found a cheap room, really cheap, $60 for a Saturday night, walked the Strip wide-eyed, put a few quarters in a slot machine, ate at a buffet that felt like abundance, stayed up too late, felt like adults for the first time. They came back. Of course they came back. That first trip planted a seed. They got married and honeymooned there. They came for anniversaries. They brought friends. They became regulars for the next 40 years. That gateway is closed now. No one's falling in love with Vegas at $400 a night. No 23-year-old is discovering the magic when a weekend costs their entire paycheck. The cheap rooms that created lifetime customers don't exist anymore. The pipeline of future regulars, young people who discover the city, fall in love with it, become loyal visitors for decades. That pipeline is choked off, cut at the source, closed by the same pricing strategy that was supposed to maximize revenue. Vegas traded its future customers for this quarter's earnings, and now there are no future customers left in the pipeline. The tourists who left because of price aren't coming back unless prices drop. The tourists who left for better alternatives aren't coming back unless Vegas becomes the better alternative again. The tourists who never developed the Vegas habit aren't coming back because they were never here in the first place. Every segment of the tourist pipeline is broken, and fixing one doesn't fix the others. Vegas needs more visitors. It also needs richer visitors. It also needs younger visitors. It also needs more loyal visitors. It needs everything at once, and it's getting none of it. Fewer tourists means less revenue. Less revenue means more cuts. More cuts means worse experiences. Worse experiences means even fewer tourists. We've seen this doom loop at individual properties. Caesars cutting staff, Flamingo deteriorating, the Strat abandoned on its island. But now, the doom loop is operating at the scale of the entire Strip. Hotels cutting staff because rooms aren't filling, housekeeping stretched thinner, front desk lines longer, service slower everywhere, which makes the experience worse, which gives tourists another reason not to come, which means more cuts. Restaurants closing because traffic is down, the mid-tier Italian place shutters, the steakhouse that wasn't celebrity branded goes dark, fewer options for visitors, which makes Vegas less appealing, which means fewer visitors, which means more restaurants close. Entertainment retreating, shows closing because tickets aren't selling, clubs reducing hours because crowds are thin, The density of experiences that made Vegas special thinning out, hollowing, becoming sparse. The shrinkage feeds itself. The tourist shortage creates conditions that worsen the tourist shortage. Every restaurant that closes is a reason someone might not visit. Every show that shutters is an experience that no longer exists. Every employee laid off is service that gets worse. The Strip is contracting, we've covered this. But the contraction isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening because tourists aren't coming, and each contraction makes fewer tourists come. The spiral tightens. The doom loop accelerates. The Strip becomes a little less itself, every quarter less dense, less overwhelming, less of a reason to make the trip. What does Vegas look like when the tourist shortage becomes permanent? When the pipeline never recovers? When the Strip has to right size for the visitors who actually show up instead of the visitors it dreamed of? Fewer properties. Some will close. Some will consolidate. Buildings that can't fill rooms will sell or shutter or find some other use. The oversupply corrected not by growth but by failure. Lower prices. Eventually, when enough properties get desperate enough, when the premium positioning becomes a fantasy no one believes, when filling rooms at any price becomes more important than holding rates. A smaller Strip, less dense, less overwhelming, fewer restaurants and clubs and shows competing for attention, less of everything that made Vegas feel like Vegas. The contracted Strip, the humbled Strip, the Strip that matches reality instead of fighting it. Vegas is running out of tourists, not metaphorically, literally. The visitors who matter, who stay overnight, who gamble seriously, who spend across the property are going elsewhere, finding alternatives, staying home, choosing any option that isn't the Strip. The headline numbers hide the crisis. 40 million visitors, recovery complete, Vegas is back. But the actual numbers, the ones that pay bills, that fill rooms, that keep casinos operational, are declining, have been declining, keep declining. The competition is everywhere and multiplying. Tribal casinos in every metro, phone apps in every pocket, other cities that actually want visitors, screens that are good enough. And Vegas can't compete on price anymore because Vegas raised prices too high. Can't compete on value because Vegas gutted value. Can't compete on experience because Vegas is cutting the experiences. The tourist pipeline is broken. Every segment, every source, every feeder that used to fill these buildings. The machine is starving, and the Strip is slowly realizing that you can't run a city built for 43 million visitors when the visitors stop coming. Hit subscribe to track the shortage. I'm watching the visitor numbers, the demographic shifts, the competitive pressures, every sign of whether Vegas stabilizes at a new normal or continues sliding towards something smaller. Drop a comment. Have you stopped going to Vegas? Did you go somewhere else instead? Did the prices push you away? Did the alternatives pull you? What would actually bring you back? Because Vegas needs to understand why the tourists are leaving, and the tourists who left are the only ones who can explain it. The rooms are waiting, the slot machines are blinking, the fountains are dancing for nobody. But the tourists are somewhere else, found something else, chose something else. And the somewhere else keeps winning, keeps multiplying, keeps capturing the visitors who used to belong to the Strip. The flood isn't coming back, the trickle is the new normal, and the city built for the flood is slowly drowning in its own emptiness. I'll see you in the next one.